I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be talking about tonight.
I don't either.
I don't either. This is a trip.
It's a trip.
Welcome. Whoever's here for the first time. It's the course of love. And the only guidelines to my class is that you don't have to believe it. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to welcome it. Some of the things I say may be hard to believe. Some of it might be quite startling. We're not really asked to analyze the ideas at all, but if you find that you can apply anything that you hear to any part of your life, you'll probably find that it works. So I always like to pass that on. So this is not a place where anybody's trying to convert you. At least I'm not. I'm not trying to convert anybody to anything. So what you want to do is be on the lookout. Since I don't believe that there are accidents, so I don't believe we're here together tonight by accident. And out of all the places in the universe you could possibly be, you're here. So there might be a reason for that. So what I always invite people to do who come here for the first time, as well as anybody that's been here for a while, is be on the lookout for your particular message. The thought, the idea, something that somebody says, something that you hear, or even something that you're prompted to hear from within. And that may be the only reason why you came, was to hear one phrase, one sentence. So it's really not about understanding everything that you're hearing or agreeing with it. So everybody clear on that? Okay. All right. In the course of love, we're in chapter 29, and chapter 29 is the chapter on attention. And so what I'm going to do is gradually go through that section, read a little bit of it, and then see what the main point is that we are being told that would be a really cool way to look at things. If you have a problem with the word God, please feel free to substitute any other word that makes you feel open to the idea of a higher power or something greater than your own ego. Personally, I'm going to use God. And I'm really curious to see what the message is tonight. What we covered last week was that to be of service, that if you, to attend is to be present. That's what we heard last week. To attend means to be present. It means to be of service. And to be of service to God is not to be a slave. It's not talking about being a slave to the Creator. It's talking about be willing to attend to the Creator. That means to give the Creator your attention and your care, and to give to the Creator your devotion and your willingness to serve instead of to use. That is for God to make use of you. So the Creator is making use of me the more I'm willing to be of service to you and be of service to myself. So love is using me as I'm willing to be of service. We have reached that point on our spiritual path that is not about just our own individual happiness. We're at that point in our spiritual awareness where it's got to be about our happiness, our peace, our connection with each other. So if you find yourself pretty much obsessed all the time with what you think of as your personal interests and your personal problems, the reason why it might look like you got to handle so much of that by yourself is because whatever your desires are, those desires are usually desires that are about the person's personal happiness and personal interest, rather than asking that the entire universe, that spirit, that everything benefits through my goals. Like if I'm going to set a goal, I want everybody in this room to benefit through that goal. And me wanting everybody to benefit in that goal, I can allow God or spirit or the universe to function through me, because it's about all of us. It's not about any one of us. So to be of service to God is to allow love to use me. So my wish is always that love will come through me to you, regardless of how my ego is feeling when I show up. I still want my personality to get out the way enough for love to come through. Now, you may not feel my love, but that doesn't mean you're not receiving it.
That's right.
If you don't feel my love, the truth teaches that it's just because you aren't giving any to me. That's deep. You tell somebody you don't feel that love, what that really means is you're not giving any. because you're going to feel it when you give it because it's coming from you. So you're not going to feel anything until it's coming from you, right? So the difference between me saying I love her and me saying I love him would be how much love I was willing to come through me for each one of them. Mm-hmm. Then the intensity of the love that I would allow to come through me would be what I would call I love her the most. That's just me allowing myself to feel more for her than to feel for him. But it's all sourcing from me. Okay? And every time that love comes through me, I feel it. So nothing can come through me without having an effect on me. And so if anger comes through me, anger has an effect on me. If depression comes through me, depression has an effect on me. But it's also true, though, that if love comes through me, it has an effect on me. And if joy comes through me, it has an effect on me. So what you are feeling right now as you sit in this room are just the feelings you're giving yourself. That's the only thing you're feeling right now. You're feeling the way you're making yourself feel. That's deep. That's deep. So to be of service would be for me to have a willingness to serve you instead of to use you. Then the next thing we heard last week was let the universe be of service to you rather than trying to use the universe to accomplish your goals. Let the universe be of service to you rather than trying to use it just to accomplish your goals. Most people are setting goals and then they're trying to get the universe or all that is to help them accomplish their goal, which is different from letting the universe or everything be of service to you. Whenever you have a sense of unity last week, we heard that that's what wholeheartedness is. So wholeheartedness is feeling my connection with you. Wholeheartedness is union. And your return to unity is your return to your full power and your ability to be of service to God, of love, and to your brothers and sisters. If I'm willing to be joined with you, I probably could be used to help you. So it's through unity that I return to my full power, and my full power comes from my ability to be of service to God, which is the same as saying be of service to the source or be of service to love. So why don't people have full power? Well, most people feel separate except for a few special people. And they are not thinking, first of all, how can I be of service to love? How can I be of service to the Creator? How can I sit here tonight and be of service to you? I used to come to gatherings like that, and what I was really focused on was how I could make myself feel better about something. Or how I could get some personal problem cleared up that I thought I was going through. I was actually coming to get some type of healing for myself personally. It wasn't dawning on me that my full power would come from coming here tonight, being willing to see you as myself, and to realize that you have the same interest that I have, which is that you want peace, you want joy, you want fulfillment in your experience just like I do. And then me saying, well, Spirit, how can I be of use in allowing that to happen? So the real answers are usually always opposite to the way we're thinking, or we would already be feeling better. Right? So in a sense, the more unhappy you are, the more you should be listening to something and hearing something different from what you believe. Mm-hmm. It's because if you're unhappy and fearful, then you really shouldn't want to be right about the way you're seeing and feeling things anyway. Right. So the more unhappy I am, the more likely I'm going to hear something that I don't believe, don't agree with, or sounds very different, because the way I'm feeling now is coming from what I believe. So if what I feel is coming from what I believe, and I don't like the way I feel, then it's obvious that me feeling better is going to come from something opposite to my beliefs. Does any of this make sense to everybody? I'm checking in with you, okay? Yeah. If the way you're thinking is the way you're feeling, and you want to feel different, then you got to have new thoughts, right? And those thoughts certainly wouldn't be the thoughts you already had. But the thing that we resist the most is any form of change, because the truth teaches that our first experience of change was our sense of feeling separate from love or separate from our source. So the first feeling of change I ever had was going from a state of love to a state of, who are y'all? Going from a state of love to a state of fear. So change doesn't exactly turn me on, because my first change was a Lulu. I went from a state of bliss and happiness with my Creator to trying to figure out how I'm going to pay my MasterCard bill. Something went haywire and then, okay. Then the next thing that we heard is to be of service to God, is to return to God, but your return to unity is all that God seeks from you. Your service is but dedication to you being the accomplished. If you've reached a point that you now want to experience peace, harmony, happiness, and oneness with everyone, if you've reached a point in your spiritual evolution where what you want to feel is your sense of unity, connection, peace, and oneness, then you have achieved exactly what all the learning you've ever had was for. Every experience that you've ever gone through was to bring you to the point that love became the answer for you. Connecting up with each other in peace became the answer. So if you are a person that you already consciously know that that's what you want more than anything else, then you've actually accomplished everything, all the lessons that you've ever gone through, all the challenges you've ever gone through, everything you've ever gone through was to get you to the point that you wanted to love, that you wanted to forgive, that you wanted to have oneness, that you wanted to have connection. Now, if that's, and I'm just sharing what this is saying, if that is not the state that you're in right now, then you are still going to give yourself a lot of lessons to bring you to that point. So that'll be the next thing you're dealing with that you think is a challenge or whatever. That's just another opportunity to come to the realization of who you really are. Everything that's happening is trying to drive you within, is what we're being taught. So sooner or later, everybody goes, I've had enough, there must be a better way, and I'm open to it. Okay, then we were told that you have no need to concern yourself with anything other than this goal. That the goal of oneness, the goal of unity. Your divinity is a state unaltered. You are a divine being having a human experience, and there's nothing you can do to change the fact that you're a divine being. There's nothing you can do to change the fact that you're love. There's nothing you can do to change the fact that you're a spirit and you're powerful and that you're innocent and that you're unlimited. The only thing that keeps you from knowing that is the beliefs and the conversation you're having in your head. That's the only thing that separates us from our true identity is our conversation that we're having with ourselves. That conversation that we're having with ourselves is coming from what we learned in the past. What you went through as a child and everything else that you learned coming up. That's the only thing that stands between you and the awareness of your power and your love and your divinity. It's what you're telling yourself right now. So the purpose of the spiritual path is to remove those blocks to the awareness that you're loved and that you're loved. And we use our relationships to either make us think we're not loved or to make us remember we are. So our relationships are either reminding us of our loving nature and that we deserve to be loved, or our relationships, we're using them to forget the fact that we deserve to be loved. So I either got relationships that are fearful or I have relationships that are loving. And that depends on what I believe about myself, because that determines who I attract to me. Okay? So that means we're at 29.9 in the book. And before I go any further, any questions about anything that I've said, any sharing, anything you want to, anything you need to say? Questions, doesn't make any difference. I love it. There's a line in the Course in Miracles that says you can receive the answer to basically anything in an instant, but it could take you a lifetime to accept it. So we may not be able to sit around and wait till you accept it, but we can certainly I can certainly give you a perspective from this teaching to most anything that you would ask me. But that doesn't mean that you will agree with the answer, accept the answer, and actually the answer could be more disturbing than your question. Okay.
So if there's a relationship that is, that is not it brings out not the love, but it brings out the fear.
Mm-hmm.
There's two choices. You can just not be around that set of people or whatever, or would the better thing to do is to be able to be around them and have love come through me in spite of or when that set of people are around.
Yeah, it would definitely be cool if you could to let the love come through you, but you're not going to be able to let the love come through you until you change your mind.
Right.
Right.
Right. It
Because,
has nothing to do with them.
right.
Or
Right.
their
Ultimately,
actions or
it has
anything.
nothing to do with them, and it's okay if you leave.
Right.
Right. But if I want to stay there, then I want to look at them differently. Because if I can look at them differently, I'll feel differently. If I can feel differently, then love will come through me. If I can
Right.
remove the blocks, the love will come through me.
Right.
It-
So
yeah.
better to work out how to make that happen, or better to just go, you know, when I'm with these people, you know, I don't feel okay. I don't feel, you know, and, you know, be around people like, you know, that I can choose. Is it better to choose to be around people that bring out the love more, or is it part of my responsibility or my goal to try to also include these people, even though I could choose to be around, you know, people who I enjoy being with?
Well, you know, as I've said many times in the class, it's very difficult to define a behavior, because the behavior has to be different depending on the situation and circumstances you're in. But the one thing that you can be consistent about is what your purpose is. You know what I'm saying? You know, I could have purpose of having peace with my child, and that might mean I tell them that they got to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. And so my behavior with my child would be different in the way I would maybe deal with you if I want to have peace. So behavior is
Right.
going to, but what's similar is the goal. So all I can tell you is what I would do in a situation like that. If I'm as much as I possibly can, I choose to be around people that it's easy for me to love.
Right.
I don't seek out people for me to try to love them.
Right.
Okay, I find that if I can allow myself to have as much peace and love as possible, then when I am around those
Right.
people that is more of a challenge for me to love, I'm already in such a loving, peaceful place
Right.
that they don't bother me, pretty much, and then I can
Right.
show up as a loving being. So really, I would much rather be around people I like.
Right.
You know, what I used to do was not give a lot of attention to the people that I really felt a lot of love for and respect for, and they seemed to care about me, because I thought I should spend my time trying to make myself love the person I was having a hard time
Right.
with. So I wouldn't really get the people who were cool in the
Right.
energy, and then the people who was a complete challenge would be the ones I find I would be giving most of my attention to. And at some point I realized that I should recognize misery and go the other way.
Right.
But I also noticed that it depended on how I felt about myself, who I hung around. So if I wasn't loving myself and I didn't feel worthy and I felt like I didn't deserve love, then I would find myself hanging out with people who didn't know how to show love or appreciation, or who would even judge me or attack me. When I'm feeling love for myself, I notice that naturally having love for myself makes me want to treat myself better and therefore treat everybody else around me better, just because I love myself. So I found out that putting myself in situations that allowed me to love myself the most was always the best situations for me to be in. And then when I'm in those situations that are not loving, I can ask for another way to look at it.
Right.
Yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, yes.
So if I dedicate my thoughts to union, and I just generally do something nice just because it's there to be done, and I help somebody, but then I speak about it later, is that ego getting in the way, or is that seem cool to speak about how it made me feel?
It would be more like, what are you telling other people about it for? And what would be your purpose for telling other people? That would determine whether or not it's coming from your ego or not.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now if I'm telling you so you can give me some strokes, it's probably coming from my ego.
Okay.
But if I'm telling you for any other reason, it's probably not. But even if I'm telling you to give myself some strokes, that's still not a sin, and I still shouldn't feel like I'm a bad person. You know what I mean?
What would be any other reason though?
You know. Any other reason, it might be to elicit somebody's support to help you do more of what you just did for that other person. That would be one thing. You know what I'm saying? I did something for you, and maybe I want to talk to somebody to see what else we can do to support the situation or heal the situation. I always think about the Course in Miracles that it says, in any situation in which you're uncertain, the very first thing to ask yourself is, what is it for? What is the purpose? Why am I doing it? Because that's what's going to determine how it turns out.
Cool.
Yeah. People always want to know what's going to happen in the future. What's going to happen in the future is whatever their goal is. That's what's going to happen in the future. So if your goal is to prove that it's always right, that nothing goes right for you, and you're not loved, then you're going to make sure that consciously and subconsciously that you're mistreated in every situation around you. And then you've got to act like you didn't have anything to do with it, because if you can act like you didn't have anything to do with it, then it's easier to do the suffering that you're trying to give yourself. It's hard to suffer when you know you're the one that's causing it, because you're going to stop. So usually one of the conditions of suffering is you got to pretend that you don't have anything to do with it and it's all somebody else's fault. That's how you have successful suffering. And there are many of us that specialize in successful suffering. Okay. So the person who's most successful at their suffering is the person who thinks they have nothing to do with what they're going through. The person that's usually unsuccessful at their suffering is the person that's taking some responsibility for how they feel. So the more responsibility you feel for what you're going through, the less you're going to suffer. The more you see yourself as a victim of everything around you, the more you're going to suffer. See, this is the thing about the truth. The truth is simple. It says that the complexity is just a smokescreen to hide the simplicity of it. Because if you know the simplicity of it, there's no excuse for not doing it. If you can make it complicated, you can jab around for 10 years. I'm a very complicated person with very complicated problems. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what everybody's doing to me. It couldn't be as simple as me realizing I think. And since I think, I could get some new thoughts. And if I get some new thoughts, I'll have a different experience. So therefore, it doesn't really matter what I went through up until this point. The only thing that matters is in this point right here, I can make a new choice. See, people who are not ready to change don't want to hear nothing that simple. But if you're still ready to suffer and somebody you haven't forgiven and you still want to blame somebody, then you'll always make your situation complicated. If you are afraid of the goal that you are seeking. So the more you're afraid of what you want, the more obstacles show up. So if there are a lot of obstacles to anything you're trying to do right now, Earl, if there are any obstacles to anything you're trying to do right now, you have to ask yourself, why are you afraid? And what are you afraid of, and how your fear can be removed? I have to get clear about what I want. Like I say, I want a loving relationship, and all of a sudden, all these obstacles come up to me having a loving relationship. Then I need to be clear that the obstacles are coming up according to this. The obstacles are coming up because I've become afraid of having a relationship. And since I'm afraid of having a relationship, I'm now seeing obstacles. The part of me that wants to trick me is going to say, go out there and deal with the obstacles. My right mind is going to say, get rid of the fear. And how do I get rid of the fear? I have to remind myself what I want a relationship for. And it has to be for some reason that inspires me. I have to want it for a reason that inspires me, because then I won't impose a lot of obstacles to having it. See what I'm saying? That's different. Yeah, like go to the areas of life that you think you have obstacles right now, and instead of trying to figure out how to get rid of the obstacle, ask yourself, why are you afraid to have the thing that the obstacle seems to be blocking you having? That's different, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm afraid to do this. All of a sudden, I have all of these financial obstacles and blocks and problems coming up in my life. It would be much better to ask yourself, why are you afraid of abundance in that form? And to get rid of any mental blocks that you have to receiving. And if you do that, then you'll find it will flow into your life faster. Ask yourself, why am I afraid of abundance? And why do I feel safe in lack? Most people say, well, I don't feel safe in lack. Obviously, you feel safe in lack because you're in lack. And you have options. No, it's the economy. It's whatever political party is in office right now. That's what the problem is. That's not true. They have nothing to do with your prosperity at all. It doesn't matter who's the president. Somebody's going to get rich. It don't matter who's president. Somebody's going to be poor in their perception. None of your problems are coming from anything outside of yourself, Earl. None of your fears are coming from any place else but you. Yes, but, 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 yes, but what about, but what about, but what about, but what about? All those questions are just excuses not to change your mind. That's it. Yeah, brother.
I was like trying to get your take on what you would do in a practical and a real situation that I found myself in. I've worked for 12 years at the same place, a smaller nonprofit organization, very proud to work for, but we've had no turnover. I mean, if somebody leaves or is replaced in a 5-year span, you know, it used to be really something. I just designed an article in our magazine that we have 5 new employees that have replaced 5 other employees. And so like a third of our work group, and they came in at a time where the word that's been thrown around is the plumbing is really fucked up in this place. You know, that's just excuse me for anybody that doesn't like the word place. But anyway, and they are in fear, no doubt about it. And they come into my room because you know. I kind of have a different room than everybody else's. I'm not in the political scene. I'm in the one artistic scene kind of dude, and people come in, but they come in, and there's a lot of fear that is revolving through and around me, like you know, electrons. I'm allowing it to affect me, and I am kind of taking their monkey off their back and putting it on mine. Can you just quickly, since I know you want to move on, what is a path for me to take in these situations? I don't stay in that mode for very long, but I stay in it, you know, for 10 minutes is too long for me, where I'm just like, oh geez, man.
What do you do? What do you do to get out of it in 10 minutes?
I usually close the door. I go for a walk, or I close the door, and I just tell myself, there's nothing real but love. There's nothing real but love.
Okay.
This is all in my mind.
Right.
This fearful stuff is made up. It's made up by them, and I'm taking it on and building my own fear out of nothing.
Right.
It's an illusion.
Right.
And then slowly I come back to. I'd rather not at certain times have to take those walks, and as many as I'm taking.
Well, the main thing that I would suggest that you do is continue to do what you're doing, just do it more.
Okay. Do it more.
Yeah, like, but in terms of
kind of
in terms of thinking, in terms of thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, you would just do it more, because one of the things that the Course in Miracles and the Course of Love taught me was that no matter what the situation, the answer doesn't change. And so one of the errors that we make is that we're always looking for different answers to different problems, and that's what keeps them from being solved. But it would be much easier to remember one thing that you would use all the time in every situation than to try to remember a whole lot of things that you're trying to figure out for every situation. See, the truth makes that kind of sense, and it messes with me. Because I'm not supposed to have sense enough to understand the sanity of what I just heard, because that really makes sense. So what I'm saying is, the fact that you told yourself things that comforted you in those situations, that's what you would do in every situation. And then you would continue to do that until you get to the point that you notice that you were right in the middle of that situation and you've been totally unaffected by it. Okay. So you're doing the right thing. All right. You know, because you can remember a time when it would have taken you a lot longer than 10 minutes.
A day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not about the length. So you know that all you have to do is just keep doing it, and the time is going to shorten.
Yeah. And
so one day you'll get to the point that you'll notice that you've gone through something that you would have normally freaked out about, and you're not feeling any kind of upset at all. So basically you're saying is those gaps will get shorter and shorter until I'm kind of constantly in that state. Yeah, the Course says you'll get to the point that your mind will automatically correct itself.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like you do something so many times, you get to the point you do it without thinking about it. Well, he says we're going to get to the point that we're going to be loving without thinking about it. We're going to be peaceful without thinking about it. Okay. We're going to be conscious without thinking about it. Because we would have gotten in the habit of being conscious and having loving thoughts. But in the beginning, you have to consciously do it. And that's what most people bail out. Because at first they got to tell themselves things they don't believe. In other words, you got to tell yourself stuff that you don't believe until you believe it. And since it's the truth, it won't take as long. Because when you're trying to get yourself to remember the truth, which is that you are powerful, you are loved, you are innocent, you are not alone. Well, those are thoughts that correspond with the truth of the whole freaking universe. So you're going to get a lot of backup for thoughts like that. Thoughts of pain and anger and loneliness are the ones you have to pretty much maintain by yourself, and that's why you feel lonely. Because you are doing it by yourself. That's why you feel lonely, because you are thinking thoughts that have nothing to do with unity, oneness, and joining. So therefore you're experiencing what you call loneliness. But what if you could turn that into a prayer? What if you could say, every time I feel what I think of is really, really negative and fearful, that's really my request for the help of God, the help of love, the help of truth, the help of God. So then my so-called negative feelings become a prayer.
There we go.
Right? So if I felt really depressed, that would just be a very powerful request for assistance to the universe. So then, instead of bringing me more pain, it would bring me help. Because it would be like my SOS to the universe. So all I'm doing is looking at my depression differently and turning it into something that'll take me beyond depression.
That's sweet. That's deep.
It is deep, and it's simple. It's not one of those things where you could do that whether you believed it or not. You could redefine your emotions whether you believed it or not. You could say, me losing my temper is really my request for help. That don't mean you have to have any kind of excitement about it or, ooh, I believe that's true. You just redefine it and watch what happens. Like the truth keeps saying, if you apply the ideas, you'll see that they work. But if you don't apply the ideas, you won't see that they work. You can listen to me all night long, but if you don't ever try anything you're hearing, you'll never know if it works. That's what truth taught me. Sorry, Earl, you can go to 30 classes if you want to, but until you actually try something that you're hearing, there's no way you can know if any of it works. Right, deep.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, dear.
One thing that I've been doing, and I know you've been doing this for years, but I just started doing it. I have the MP3s of the Way of Mastery, and I know that you have course stuff, your classes on YouTube, but I've started listening to it, and I have been amazed. I didn't realize that I must be really an auditory learner, and I've been reading it for years, and I get a lot out of it. But I have noticed a quantum shift in my recall of it, like how present it is in my mind. And I'll listen to it like over and over and over, and there's something about hearing it out loud that has really made a difference for me as far as my mind's access to the thought system, because there's something about hearing it for me that just makes it sink in at a deeper level.
Yeah, and so now you know your formula.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now you know that for you it's about, but see, that's the way I am. It's like, a long time ago I realized I was either going to be telling myself something that depressed me or made me feel better about myself, or I was going to be telling myself something that depressed me and didn't make me feel good about myself. So then I had to just make sure every way possible I was hearing stuff that would inspire me. So every time I would read a book, I would record it at the same time because I'm reading it anyway. So why not go ahead and read it out loud? So when I got to reading the book, I also had a recording of me reading the book, calling my name, put it on my iPod, put it on my iPod dock, listen to it all night, every night. So I've been doing that with the Course in Miracles for over 20 years now. I listen to it all night, every night. And then the other book that I'm trying to learn right now, but reading it too, but I listen to it all night because I don't want to hear that stuff. Y'all know what that stuff is, right? I don't want to hear all that crap about what's wrong and what's bad. And that doesn't mean I'm in denial about how I feel. I tell myself when I don't feel good in a hot second. I'm not saying that positive thinking, sweeping your feelings under the rug, pretending they're not their stuff. I'm talking about, I'm going to be honest with myself about what I feel, but I'm also going to be proactive about what I'm listening to. But I'm going to be straight up about what I'm feeling, which upsets people who are trying to hide how they feel from themselves. So as soon as you say how you really feel, they're going to spend about 2 or 3 minutes telling you why you shouldn't feel that way and how you're going to create it. And they pounce on you. I call them Dr. Correctors. And you run into you run into a lot of those people when you're in the spiritual community, where you can never just say how you feel. They feel like they've got to correct you. They've got to teach you. They got to tell you what you just said wrong. And so when you meet people like that, it's because they can't deal with their own negative thoughts. They can't deal with an honest expression of a feeling. They think that they've got to change it to fix it because their own feelings aren't okay to them. But if you're around somebody and you can say the worst thing that can come out of your mouth and they can just hold space for you and remember who you really are, that you really deserve happiness, that you are a loving being beneath your fear, that's the person that's healing you. It's not the person that's pouncing on you with a million things that you ought to do to fix yourself. The first thing a conscious being is going to do is ask you if you're open to hearing what they have to say. First of all, they're not going to assume that they need your advice. You know what I'm saying? You know, those people who just assume that it's okay for them to tell you what you need to do, whether you ask or not. Nobody that's conscious would do that. A conscious person realizes that you have the power within you to heal whatever is going on in your relationship with your own inner guidance. And they're willing to be a means for you to be healed too, through them, but they want you to ask them for what it is you want them to say to you. So they won't be giving unsolicited advice, and they won't be correcting your errors without you asking them to for their help. So I like knowing that, because it kind of reveals the people around me in terms of where they're coming from and where I'm coming from. You know, this is supposed to be a fun journey. It's supposed to be joyful. I don't know how to break that to everybody. It's not. The suffering, struggle, sacrifice is the old script. It's not the new present script. Okay, so the suffering to get to God is an old script. You know, it's let me get rid of the blocks to the love that's there. That's the one we own right now. So some people are auditory, some people are visual, some people, you know, they get it through experience. What's the other one?
Kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic is the experience one, right?
Olfactory and gustatory.
Yeah. So I'm all of them.
So we should have the book.
I like all of them. So I try to do everything. I do the music and the chanting, and I do the reading and the engineering, and I do the dancing, and I do the movement, and because to me, it's just as soon as I can get rid of the blocks, that's how soon my joy is going to be here. And I'm ready for it now. I want it now. I don't think I deserve to suffer like I used to. So I don't try not to have a long time that I think I'm suffering. And no matter what your situation is, whatever physical condition you're dealing with, and some of us are dealing with more challenging situations than others, the one thing we have power over is the way we see it. You know, so these books are giving us a new way of seeing it. And it's through getting a new way of seeing it that you can change the way you feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Like a person who lost their house, okay, the way they see it is going to determine how they feel about that. So if it's a fact, the house is gone now, then what they want to do is take responsibility for how they see it, so that they can lessen their suffering about it. You see what I'm saying? For some people, they're going to say 5 years later or less, they're going to say something like, losing my house was the very best thing that ever happened to me in my life. As a result of losing my house, I did blah, 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 and I discovered blah, 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 blah. And now do you know I'm doing the thing that's the most satisfying thing I've ever done in my life, living in the place I enjoy more than anything else, which I wouldn't have done if I still had that friggin' house. But right now, it seems like a complete catastrophe to them. You see what I'm saying? The truth teaches, it says, you do not perceive your own best interest, Earl. It says you don't really know what's best for you any more than a child playing with a pair of scissors that thinks it's beautiful knows that could hurt them. You don't know, Earl, that person that you're praying for is the best person for you to be with. You don't know if that job you're saying you want more than anything is the job that you would have enjoy. See, it says at some point you have to get, you don't know. And then he says, when you get to the point that you realize you don't know, now everything can help you because you're open now. But you're not open when you think you know. I'm like, wow. Well, what could I do to indicate that I'm really open, Spirit? Well, this is what you do. You ask. What? You start asking. Was this the right thing for me to do, Spirit? What would be the correct way to look at this? Ask. Wow, but that would be to assume that there is something to ask. So the mere act of asking is a show of faith and willingness. Because you don't ask when you think you already know. When was the last time anybody that you were around that you think you're close to asked you how you felt, asked you what was going on with you, asked you how you've changed, asked you what you want? Most close friends and associates think they know you, and they stop asking. Or a spouse or a partner particularly stop asking. They think they know. They think they know. So you can tell when a person isn't judging you so much by how much they ask you how you feel, ask you what you think, ask you what you want, ask you what's important. It's like little simple stuff like that. I'm just sharing stuff that comes out of all this stuff. I mean, it's a trip. It's a trip. It's not complicated as we think it is. And we deserve to be happy. You deserve to be happy. You haven't done anything. I think you think you did, but in this moment right here, which is the only moment there is, this one right here, you aren't doing anything to anybody. You're innocent in this moment. But what other moment is it? The remembered one? Oh, sorry, gone. The anticipated one? Sorry, not yet. So if you're not doing anything to anybody now, if you're being peaceful now, if you're being loving now, if you're not attacking now, you're doing nothing to anybody now. You're cool. And I'm glad it thrills everybody to hear that. I'm glad that everybody was thrilled to hear. You could have heard crickets. Really, you could have heard crickets.
We're stunned.
Yes,
Taking it all in.
That's cool. Your inner response is okay. But I was thinking, I've always said, if I could ever have the kind of enthusiasm about my own self-realization and me and my spiritual path as people are about the Super Bowl, I'm getting there. You know, people will wear outrageous outfits. They'll scream to the top of their voice. They'll jump up and down. They'll just be exuberant. But if you get a group of people together and you say, you deserve to be happy. Crickets. Crickets. How we feel about ourselves is ridiculous. The lack of enthusiasm we can have about ourselves is pathetic. About anybody else, I can give Tebow I don't know how much good juice. But would I give me that good juice?
Yeah.
Would I look at me that way?
Yeah.
Would I be around people who looked at me that way? See, those are the kind of questions that as you wake up, you start to ask yourself. You know, why am I waiting for everybody else to be my cheerleader?
I don't know about everybody else, but I'm just, I was letting it trying to let it sink in. And you know what? I'll be honest. There's some trepidation in letting something that's so joyful sink in.
Thank you.
And that's why crickets.
Thank you.
Is because I'm.
Oh, the Course says that people who use fear as a way of life, which is most people, says that when you alleviate their fear too swiftly, they go into intense depression and may even try to kill themselves. Because without their perspective of life that they've been used to, which is I'm using my unhappiness as a way of life, there's something wrong. They don't have any reason to live anymore. And they'll unconsciously do themselves in.
Jeez.
So it says that happiness and healing will wait until we won't be threatened to have it. So I went, man, that's deep. Because what it just told me was, I am as happy right now as I can handle. And that's deep. That's kind of pitiful sometimes to think that. That, you know, that this is as much as I can give in this minute. This is as much as I let myself have. And if I get 1 ounce more of that, then I'm gonna start getting depressed. Because I'm vulnerable. I'm opening myself up to you. I'm letting my mask down. I'm not treating you like you're separate from me. I'm putting myself out here. It's much more frightening for people to do that than to sit in their cubicle and not let anybody in and not connect.
Comfort.
You got to risk. You got to be willing to risk if you really want to be happy.
That's right.
You got to be willing to do it differently from the way everybody else is doing it if you really want to be happy.
That's the comfort.
That's deep, man.
It is.
You got to be willing to follow your own light. Like right now, I'm going through a major transformation within my experience, and I'm getting very clear guidance from within what to do. And the biggest challenge is just to go ahead and do it without letting how I think it would affect anybody else stop me from doing what I know I should be doing in my heart. Anybody relate to that? Yeah. And I found the easiest way to do that is just to go ahead and do it and don't tell nobody. Yeah, it's like the only people I share my process with are people that I feel fairly confident will also share the viewpoint that they trust me following my process. Not who's going to give me a lot of advice about what to do. Those who will go, I trust your relationship with your higher self, and if this is what you're really feeling in your heart that you need to do, then I'm going to support you because I know your purpose is not to hurt or harm. So I'm going to trust your process. Not somebody who feels threatened by your process because it's different from their process. So they got to try to blow a hole in your process so they can feel their process is okay, because they don't realize you could both be right. See, fearful minds think that for one person to be right, the other person has to be wrong.
Exactly.
A loving mind knows that there are many perspectives and many facets to a diamond that work. So I would respect your path instead of trying to change your path if it was a loving path. You see what I'm saying? It's like, so I don't need to get anybody else's advice about what I need to do right now. And I find that it's easier not to get anybody's advice if you don't say nothing. So the easiest way to make a change, the once you are clear about what you should do, is to go ahead and do it without telling anybody else about it, unless you feel like you're going to feel more inspired as a result of sharing with them instead of depressed. And you pretty much know your friends well enough to know who's who. That's why they're your friend. So you know the friends you're going to call when you don't want to be encouraged to do something you want to do. And you know the friends to call when you feel like you're going to be supported. So you kind of know how much you want it by who you contact when you start going after it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm trying to be completely free in my expression of myself, and Cousin Bob over here is the most limited thinker in the world, then if I call Cousin Bob to get his advice on my new unlimited life, I know I don't really want to do my new unlimited life. That's why I'm trying to talk to Cousin Bob. So you can tell how you feel about what you want by who you talk to about how to have it. So just check out who it is you go to first. So one other sentence in here before we wind down. It says, the time of tenderness is the time of your approach to unity. The gateway to unity stands before you. God will guide your entry. Your work is that of creation. Your creation is a service to the world. Just by you being here, somebody's being helped. Just by you existing, somebody is being helped.
Sweet.
Whew, that feels good.
That does. Yes. Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Could you imagine the sun being told, you didn't do such a good job of shining today. You're going to have to shine better and more. And for this person over here. But what about if the sun is just being the sun, and just because the sun is being the sun, all of us are doing pretty good here today because there's a sun. Okay, that's you. You may not realize it, but you, just being you, you're benefiting some people beyond your wildest imagination. Most of the people you don't even know you're benefiting. Okay? Wow. Now, even if you don't believe that, wouldn't you like that to be true?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's another thing the Course in Miracles taught me. Say, Purdy, if you got any sense, whether you would know how to do it, you still want to side with it happening. You may not know how to experience a life of total peace and contentment, but if you got any sense, you would go, I think I'll side with that idea. You may not know how to have unlimited prosperity and abundance in your life right now, but if you got any sense, Purdy, you'll go, I think I'll side with that idea. So even if you don't know how to have what you want, the smart person is siding with the idea of themselves having it. not trying to, not even dare think it because they don't know how they can do it. And are you one of those people who don't even dare thinking it because you can't figure out how to do it, so you don't even think it? See, that's different from I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to think it. I don't know how to do unconditional love in a personal relationship yet, but I'm definitely going to side with the idea of having unconditional love. Mm-hmm. So as you leave here tonight, ask yourself, what am I willing to side with even if I don't know how to achieve it? Mm-hmm. What do I want? What is my purpose? Mm. What is it for? And watch what happens. Watch how everything opens up for you. If you haven't had a chance to sign the Course of Love list, that I can let you know with the classes and workshops and other things that are coming up that I'm being told, as well as, when we're not going to do anything, make sure your name is on here so that you can be notified. Another thing, all of these classes are videoed and put on YouTube and on my website, earlpurdy.com. So if you want to hear more of this type of energy, this type of communication, I got 600 videos online. Okay, what is the point? What is the point? What is the point? If you really want to hear something different, it's available. It's there. If you really want to hear something different, if you think you heard something tonight and you think you'd like to hear something similar, it's available. Your prayer has been answered. You asked for another way to look at things. Tonight, another way of looking at things was given to you. It's not the only way to look at things. It's one way of looking at things. And so the truth will get to you in another way if it doesn't get to you this way. Okay? So that means you've been heard. That means you're not alone. That means you are loved. Do you love yourself enough to let yourself be helped? Yeah. That's the question. Do you love yourself enough to let yourself be helped? So I want love to come through me to you until you can love yourself. All right?
All right.
Okay. Would you acknowledge yourself for even showing up? Oh, yeah. What about these other folks? Let's give it to everybody else in here. Not just ourselves. Woo! All right. I teach full time. That's what I do in the world. I do it on a love offering basis so anybody can come to my classes regardless of their financial situation. So thank you for sharing. Sunday at 1 o'clock, the Course in Miracles class from 1 to 2. I'm also available for one-on-one sessions. These orange forms up here explain what I do. Just pick up one and check it out. And if you're interested, just give me a call and we can have a one-on-one session called a clarity session where I bring these truths to your situation and help you see it another way. That's available too.
And those clarity sessions are amazing.
Yes.
Highly recommend doing one of those.
I'd like for you to take a minute to close your eyes if you are able to do that. Thank you again for sharing. Your return to unity, that's all that love seeks. The Course of Love says, whenever you're trying to figure out what to do, whenever you are confused, whenever you are afraid, whenever you feel alone, and you have these thoughts racing through your mind and you don't know what to do, just say to yourself these simple words. I dedicate all thoughts to union. 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 Now what does that mean? I'm dedicating my thoughts to love. I'm dedicating my thoughts to peace. I'm dedicating my thoughts to connection. I'm dedicating my thoughts to God. I'm dedicating my thoughts to freedom. I'm dedicating my thoughts to unlimitedness. I'm dedicating my thoughts to going beyond any blocks that I think I feel. Any blocks that I think I feel. Your peace comes from you. It doesn't come from anywhere else. Your peace comes from you. It doesn't come from anywhere else. Your feelings are coming from your interpretations of a situation. Your feelings are coming from your interpretation of the situation. You don't have to concern yourself with anything other than your goal. If you're having a lot of obstacles, you are afraid at some level of achieving your goal. So ask that the blocks be removed. Ask that the blocks in your own mind be removed. Ask that the blocks that you don't even know about be removed. Ask to have answers that you did not think of. Be willing to have answers given you that you didn't think of. Don't make it a prerequisite that you come up with the answers all the time for you. Be open to the answer getting to you any way the answer can get to you. Earl, be open to the answer, the solution, the love getting to you any way that it can. Any way that it can. What would it take for all the blocks to your happiness? What would it take for them to be removed in ways beyond your wildest imagination? What would it take? Let the universe be of service to you. Let the universe be of service to you. Let the universe be of service to you. I let the universe be of service to me. I let the universe be of service to me. I let the universe be of service to me. I let the universe be of service to me. I let the universe be of service to me. Ask love to live its life through you today. Ask love to live its life through you today. Ask God to live God's life through you today. Ask the Creator to live its life through you today. Use whatever words work for you, but ask to be a vehicle for the love, for the joy. You don't have to know how. All it takes is just a little bit of willingness. That's all. Just a little bit of willingness. You've already shown you have that little bit of willingness just by being here tonight. You already have it. You already have it. You are a beautiful soul. You are a beautiful spirit. You are divine. Yes, you've made mistakes. Yes, you've made mistakes. But mistakes are for correction. Loving correction. Not punishment, because that doesn't change your mind. But correction changes your mind. Another way to look at it. So just ask for another way to look at things. I want another way to look at this. Be present. Be of service. Be willing to be happy here so that you can show others it's possible to be happy here. That's cool. I'm willing to be a love demonstrator. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming out tonight. Holy Spirit. Hugs are available.
Yay.